everybody. I'm Tim Hutchins, running for Nelson County Judge Executive. Jim Brooks with the Gazette, and his son and the Standard Reporter. I keep forgetting your name. But anyway, I've had a lot of constituents, kind of loud out here, but I've had a lot of constituents asking me my stance on the Sheriff Department. There's been a lot of friction and I guess confusing statements from the judge released a press conference, and then the sheriff had a press conference and released some statements. So I've had a lot of questions asking me about my thoughts. I put out a few memos letting everybody know a little bit about my stance, but I think it's a big hot topic and it's very important to this community. First, I'd like to say that in my opinion, I think the data proves it, that the Nelson County Sheriff's Department and the Bardstown Police Department have both done a great job in at least the last several years, is helping keep crime down in this community. I believe the data will prove that. You have to back the blue. I'm big on the blue. If you don't back the blue, people's heard me say this, without the police, you don't have any law and order. Without law and order, you don't have a community, and I think it's very important. It's been sort of a black eye, I guess, I hear people say, and there's a lot of friction and lack of communication maybe, and it's gotten pretty sort of sad with the community having to listen to some of this disagreements with, I guess, the fiscal court and the sheriff. What has really, our sheriff got elected about 3 years ago, and he says, and I think he's got plenty of evidence to back it up, that the deputies are underpaid, and it's gotten even worse the last couple of years. So he has asked to get his deputies some more money the last 3 years with apparently no results. My opponent at the fiscal court meetings has never suggested anything that I can see that would help this situation. While I was on the fiscal court as a magistrate for many years, I always supported the police, helped bring it to I think a lot of the things we did over the years is combining the police departments and enhancing their vehicles and supporting the staff was a proven record that it worked. The biggest problem in today's world is all departments, and I also want to say that I support all of our departments and all of our employees, and it's very important to this community. I've been in business, self-business, employed all my life. I know how to do budgets, and I know how to make things work. You have to be a leader, not a follower, and I think it proved the fact that while I was on the court as a magistrate that I brought up suggestions and policies and always supported our sheriff department. The biggest problem in today's world is you can't retain police officers. The state police just, in the last budget in July, I think started July 1st, they gave all the state police officers a $15,000 raise because they can't retain them. And there's less and less good police officers out there that you can find that goes to the academy, put their life on the line, and you see what's happened all over the country with some of the bigger cities and a lot of the crime that's happened. Our police force is doing a great job, and we don't want to get like some of the bigger cities, so we have to support them, and I'm going to do that. Just recently also, the Bardstown Police Department, approximately every officer up there got about a $10,000 raise because they seen the problem. Now, money's tight, and it's always going to be tight, but I think there's enough money in the budget, the current budget. I've went through it, and there's some, I'm not going to say waste, but some reorganization and some things that can be done to fix this issue and take care of our police. With that being said, what really put a black eye on a lot of the deputy sheriffs, they found out there were several employees when they passed this last budget. Let me back up. All the employees got a 7% raise, which is good. Everybody knows how high the inflation is, 40-year high. Everybody's trying to raise their families, and it's tough. Just last week, I think had another police officer lost his life pulling over a car. Young man just got out of the service, joined the police, and he got murdered. That's an example. So it's harder and harder and harder to find anybody who wants to be a police officer. And our sheriff needs to have backup for that. So in the last budget, there were several employees that I've researched and found out, and maybe they deserved it. I'm not saying they did, but it was never, ever publicly discussed. They found out that several other employees got more than the 7% raise when they have been asking and begging and pleading to get some money for the deputy sheriffs. So that really made it even, it made the, I guess you say, the black eye even worse, because they found that out and realized that they haven't had their backing. And my opponent has never stated publicly any kind of plan that he would help fix that. But there's money in the budget. There's other different divisions that I know we can save money in that would solve this problem. And I just want to make that statement, make it clear that I'm for the police. I back the blue any way, shape, or form. If you get a call, if you got something going on in your community, high-speed chase, crime, rape, break-ins, when you call 911, the judge doesn't show up, the magistrate doesn't show up, the police show up. There's about 450 square miles in this community. You take from Boston to Chaplin to New Hope to Cox's Creek. They have a tremendous amount of mileage to patrol. I was just at Melody Lake last night, for instance, meeting with those people. And you know, the sheriff he has to serve papers. They have to take care of the court. And we've got deputies out there doing a great job. And like I say, they have a lot of area to patrol. So I want to make it very clear that I'm for the police 100%, and I'll do everything in my power if I become elected to make sure that they're. And another thing, when you get around Jefferson County, you've got the bigger police departments, Lexington, Bowling Green, Owensboro. You're in a very competitive market. You can't compare apples to apples when you go out in the rural areas and say our police are making as much as some of these rural counties. They are probably in most cases, but when you're around the big cities, you have to compete more with them because they can go. We've had 4 or 5 left in the last few years, went to different divisions because they make more money. They can drive that far and still live in this community. So I would love our police officers to live in this community. It's a great community. Live here, serve this community, and be able to make a decent wage to provide for their families. So if y'all have any questions, that's kind of where I'm at on it, and I just want to make sure I got that clear. Jim?
Tim, this seems to be, from my perspective, largely a communication issue. As far as because the sheriffs had to go public, basically, in public meetings, and as he said, beat that dead horse asking for money. There's a lot of frustration in the sheriff's office, I think. What would you do to change this relationship?
Well, the communication factor, I don't think you should ever let it get to where it has gotten. It doesn't look good. It's like I say, a black eye. What I use is it doesn't look good in the public. It seems to be that they don't have the support of the fiscal court when that happens. Now, I'm not blaming all the magistrates and everybody on there, but I do know my opponent's running for this job, and you got to be a leader. You can't be a follower. You got to come up with solutions and plans and try to make things work. And if you go through the budget, I went through the budget. I've seen the numbers from actual numbers, preliminary numbers the last couple of years, and there's money in several areas that we can fix and save and be able to provide more money for our police officers. I mean, all you got to do is look at the drugs, and they've got to be very proactive because the biggest problem we've got total, I think, in our community is the drugs. you have to fight that every single day, and they had to fight it. Just like I said, this police officer lost his life. Remember what happened here just a few years ago with our local police officer? These guys put their life on the line every day, and I wouldn't do it for what they make. You go to these distilleries, some of these factories that make more than you can being a police officer, and you go out there and put your life on the line every single day. So, you know, I want to support all of our employees in every department. I think I got a proven record of that, and enhance it, improve it. But we've got to make this thing work. And I think, and I know it can be done without raising any taxes. There's no doubt in my mind.
What areas of the budget would you rework to rechannel money?
Well, if you want to get into the budget, I got some copies here I could probably show you, but there's you can contract out some things. For example, everybody that's in business, myself, it's tougher and tougher to get employees. But there is some things, when you have your growth, you know, I don't want to eliminate any jobs where just about every department is tight on help anyway. But when you're growing like this county is growing, you can contract out more things, and you don't have to pay all the insurance and all the retirement funds and all that. And there's a lot of subcontractors you can do as we grow to do more for these departments and save the county money.
Can you be more specific in like the departments and what type of contracting?
Well, I mean, you take mowing, bush hogging, salt, snow removal. You can get into the animal control. I went through their budget. They met with them. They've got, you know, I personally think they're a little top heavy. And you can go in there and get some more help. And there is some talk about getting the sheriff involved in the animal control. I'm not a real big fan of that, but if the sheriff said Bowling Green, I think it's effective. I'm not in favor of putting dogs and cats in police cars, of course, but I think there's some ways that maybe they can merge some of their departments and help each other out. And there's, you know, the recreation out there that you can do a lot more with our parks. The city's talking about doing a new park and things, and bring in a lot more revenue in the recreational departments for the AAU tournaments and so on, and actually generate more money instead of taking the money out of the budget. So there's ways you can do it, and I've done it. I've been in business all my life, so if you want to get more specific, I can get you some more detailed plans.
Now, as judge executive, you're the leader of fiscal court.
Yes,
For anything you want to do to change something, you'll need all 5 magistrates, or at least the majority on board with you.
Well, I've had you know, like I said, Jim, I don't want to, you know, I was on the fiscal court for many years, and I had a very good working relationship with the magistrates, and it's not a one-man show. But as a leader, you got to pull them in, come up with your plans and policies, and show them and prove to them that the plan will work. One thing I've always said when you're in the public office is, if you come up with a plan and you see this statewide and the federal and even local, you come up with a policy, you start it, just say it doesn't work. Let's go back and punt and admit, you know, maybe I was wrong, or maybe my plan needs to be tweaked. And that's another thing I want to do with a lot of these ordinances we got in place now. We need to go through, some of these been in 30, 40 years, outdated. We need to tweak them and clean them up, and you know, and that's another one of my goals, is to simplify as much as we can in this county and make it easier on the constituents. But today's discussion, mainly I want to talk about the police. Everybody knows about the distilled spirits tax. I've been working with Senator Jimmy Higdon, met with him several times. Candy Mastroni, we got a new elected representative, and she's on top of it. And we've got to make sure that distilled spirits tax, we have to make sure our money stays here. We don't want to raise any taxes, but it's going to be tough to eliminate any of those that we're getting already. So that's another subject, total different, but it does affect the sheriff. There's no doubt about that. You know, he's $235,000 right out of the gate, comes right off top of him. He'd lose 2.5 deputies if that tax goes away. And about $1 million in the fiscal court, just in a few years, that'd be $1.5 million. So, of course, the schools and so on and so on. But today I want to focus on the police and the sheriff, you know. So about little Jim, you got any questions? All right, thank y'all for your time. And anybody, I'm telling the audience, my constituents and voters, my number is public, 502-249-0816. And you go on Facebook, and I'll be glad to talk and meet with anybody anytime around the community, because I think it's important. and I want to get more people come to fiscal court meetings and get on the agenda and just discuss and have some of these, I guess you say, town hall meetings throughout the county, and different private groups, committees, and meet and help resolve as many problems as we can privately without getting the government involved. You know, it helps a lot. So thank y'all for your time.